Something historic has just happened. Not in a capital city, not in a parliament, not in a palace, but at a dusty, sun-baked border post called Isibania, between Kenya and Tanzania. There, ordinary men and women, not presidents, not generals, they made history. They did what our leaders often fail to do. They rose up and reminded us that Africa's borders may have been drawn by colonial hands, but they will be erased by African hearts. My name is DJ Bwakali, and Africa is my superpower. To understand what happened at Isibania, you need the background. Across that border, in Tanzania, opposition leader Tundu Lissu, the head of the Chadema party, has been in jail since April. The charges? Treason. The truth? Courage. His only crime was refusing to legitimize a broken system.
Without a constitution, electoral reforms, or an independent electoral body, the country will perish. Without that, we cannot get the leaders we deserve.
He had one demand: no reforms, no elections. And when his call for justice echoed too loud, they silenced him with chains. Even from prison, Lissu's voice still carried. 2 days ago, he sent out a message to his party: attend Raila Odinga's burial in Kenya. Stand with our brothers and sisters. It wasn't just a gesture of respect. It was a message of defiance, of unity, of Pan-African solidarity. So, led by Deputy Party Leader John Heche, the Chadema delegation set out for Kenya. But when they arrived at the Isibania border post, Tanzanian immigration officers stopped them cold. Their passports were seized, their freedom detained. The order was clear. They were not to cross. Because even in 2025, our rulers fear one thing more than sanctions or coups. They fear people who think and act beyond the borders. As the sun dipped below the horizon, word spread. The Kenyans living across the border came together. Tanzanians from nearby towns joined in. They were not politicians. They were traders, farmers, border riders, mothers. And together, they refused to stand by. They marched to that post. They demanded freedom. And in an act of courage that is now resonating with people, they rescued John Heche from unlawful detention, and then they escorted him across the border. Just a quick one before I go on. Last year, I wrote a book about historic African leaders like Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, Julius Nyerere, and of course, Ibrahim Traore. There are nearly 100 of them in that book. Many of you have already bought the book, and I'm very grateful for that. If you haven't bought it, please head on to Amazon and purchase your copy. Both physical and digital copies are available. Thanks a lot. Last night, Isebania became more than a border crossing. It became a symbol of people power, of unity, of Africans refusing to be divided. And that, right there, is the historic event that I was talking about earlier. Because what those ordinary people did is what Pan-Africanism truly means. Not just conferences, not just slogans, not just hashtags, but action, real, raw, human action, across artificial borders. That is pragmatic Pan-Africanism. That is revolutionary Pan-Africanism. That is transformative Pan Africanism. So, the next time someone tells you, stop interfering with the affairs of our country, ask them this one question. Which country are you referring to? Are you talking about the one that was carved up in Berlin in 1884? If that's the country that you mean, tell them with clarity and with calm to decolonize their minds. Because we are one Africa. We will either rise together or sink together. And at Isibania, the people showed us the way. Not through diplomacy, but through solidarity. This is why here on African Awakening, we keep talking about what's happening in Congo, what's happening in the Sahel, in Nigeria, in South Africa, in Tunisia, and now in Tanzania. Because the struggle is one, the suffering is shared, and the liberation will be collective. This month of October, Tanzania heads to the polls on Wednesday, the 29th. But make no mistake, President Samia Suluhu Hassan is expected to win with a landslide, not because the people will freely choose her, but because the system is rigged to reproduce power. And so we must ask, when will we tell her the truth? When will we, the people of Africa, rise and say, Tosha, enough is enough, toss it all. Let's tell Samia Suluhu the truth now. Let's tell every African leader who trades transformative leadership for control, who trades truth for silence, that Africa has awoken. The border of Isibania has spoken. The people have spoken. The spirit of the reformist Raila Odinga, of Thomas Sankara, of Patrice Lumumba, they are all speaking through us. So let's raise our voices together. Tosha, enough is enough. To c'est trop. Because the liberation of one African begins when we all refuse to be divided. This is the African awakening. And Africa is our superpower. We, the people of Africa, are unstoppable. To the people of Tanzania, you are not alone. To Tundu Lissu, you are not alone. To John Heche, you are not alone. To all the people of the great country of Tanzania, you're not alone. We stand together with you.